Hello, viewers of The Pioneer. How are you doing? I hope you're healthy and well. As the Pioneer team, we continue to bring you the developments regarding Russia-Ukraine war. Peace talks are being held, alliances are being solved, solutions are trying to be found. All these efforts do not yield results because any peace talks cannot be expected to yield results while there is an occupation. Of course, the peace talks that have taken place in recent days will not yield results either because there is no solution that will bring peace other than Russian leader Vladimir Putin stopping the occupation of Ukraine. The front line was again very active. From the Kherson to Zaporijya front line and Donetsk to Bakhmut, intense clashes are taking place everywhere, and the epic struggle of the Ukrainian troops continues to be written in the history with golden letters every day. Russian troops have not been able to reach any of the targets set so far. Thanks to the resistance of the Ukrainian army and the continuation of the war support, they will never achieve these goals. So what is the latest situation on the front line? Let's take a look at the developments together. As the Pioneer team, we continue to share our reports on Russia-Ukraine war. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so as not to miss our daily map reports and reports on the agenda. You can also support me and my hardworking team by using the super thanks button below the videos. Thank you for your support. Let's start if you are ready. The Pioneer reports. Let's start by analyzing the latest developments on the Kherson front line. In recent days, sources from both sides often draw attention to the Kherson front line. We can talk about the increase in activity here or the possibility of an increase. We express this an uncertainty because it is not easy to get instant information from the front line. More precisely, it is not easy to reach confirmed information quickly. However, we believe, just like our sources, that there is increased mobility here. Of course, we have justified reasons. As we have often stated in our reports in recent days, every region of the front line is active. The Kherson region was calmer than in the past days. This is the most important point we have experienced throughout the war. Calmness is followed by increased mobility. According to the latest reports, the Ukrainian armed forces have started the process of being active in this region again. We already know the Crom region. The situation there is quite stable. The new mobilization point is Pechenivka. Here, the Ukrainian armed forces may be trying to implement the same strategy as on the Zaporijya front line. We know that the situation of the Russian troops in this region is weak. The expansion of the front line will cause the already weak Russian troops to spread over even larger areas. This means the dispersal of power. What do Ukrainian troops want to do? They want to soften the Russian defenses on the Kherson front line as much as possible until the next offensive, because the road to the Crimean Peninsula passes through the Kherson front line. While analyzing the situation on the Kherson front line, I would like to remind that every issue related to the Kherson front line is actually related to the Crimean Peninsula. Liberating the peninsula occupied in 2014 is the most important goal of the Ukrainian troops. Therefore, the worst of the situation here for the Russian army, the closer to the Crimean Peninsula will be to the secure future. Let's continue with the artillery activity in the region. According to the latest reports, artillery units of the Russian armed forces targeted the Ukrainian armed forces positions in Cherbanivka region center, Sadiivka, Ingolsty, and Taiganivka. In turn, artillery units of the Ukrainian armed forces targeted units of the Russian armed forces stations in Olaperistan, Podstepnoe, and Cossack camps. Now let's continue by analyzing the latest situation on the Zaporijya front line. According to reports, the Zaporijya front line was also very active today. In fact, we can say that there was an intense battle for an initiative. During the counteroffensive, the Ukrainian armed forces held the initiative here for a long time. However, after the counteroffensive, this initiative became neutral. For a long time, neither side was able to seize the initiative. Therefore, both armies are now trying to seize the initiative here. The Ukrainian army is more advantageous because the Ukrainian army has resisted the attacks of the Russian army for a long time. Although the Russian army made gains in its attacks, this was very limited. In addition, Russian soldiers were also very tired during this process. Increasing losses are, of course, a major factor. According to the latest reports, units of the Russian armed forces launched an unsuccessful offensive attempt from the direction of Novoprokopivka. You know the states of the Ukrainian defense here. They are quite strong. Therefore, there are no border changes. On the other hand, there is a similar situation in Verbov. The Russian offensives there was also completely unsuccessful. There is also a new active area, Krasny. According to reports, there are very intensive counterattacks in this area. There are no border changes yet. Let's continue with the artillery activity in the region. According to the latest reports, artillery units of the Russian armed forces targeted Ukrainian positions in Kamenskoye, Pyatykhatki, Golyapol, and Manonivka. In turn, artillery units of the Ukrainian armed forces targeted units of the Russian armed forces stationed in Zhorobyanki, Kopani, Novoprokopivka, Verbov, and Marfopol. Now let's look at the latest situation on the Donetsk front line. According to reports, on the Donetsk front line, units of the Russian armed forces went on the offensive after shelling the southern approaches to Novomikhailivka near the towns of Gorogorivka and Krasnohorivka. They also organized offensive operations in Nevelsky. However, these attacks did not lead to any results. Ukrainian troops continue to hold their positions. In addition, units of the Russian armed forces, supported by long-range weapons, carried out attacks on Permomskoye, southeast and northeast of Avdiivka. They also continued their offensives in Stepnoe near Novobakhmutovka, controlled by the Ukrainian armed forces. The demarcation line is largely stable. Let's continue with the artillery activity in the region. According to the latest reports, artillery units of the Russian armed forces targeted Ukrainian positions in Konstantinivka, Korkakov, and Berdyachi and Novokalinivka. In turn, artillery units of the Ukrainian armed forces targeted on the Russian armed forces in Mariinka, Donetsk, Vladimir, and the village of Krasnogorovka. Let's also look at the Luhansk front line. According to the latest report, on the Luhansk front line, Russian troops supported by long-range weapons carried out a series of attacks on Blogorivka. They also attacked from the direction of Pluchentivka. The demarcation line is largely stable. Following the shelling, the Russian armed forces carried out attacks near Petropavlovka and in Sinkiivka. The Ukrainian armed forces continue to hold their positions. What do you think? Do you think the defense of the Ukrainian armed forces is successful? What do you think about the latest situation on the Kherson front line? Do you think the Ukrainian army will be able to soften up the Russian positions on the Kherson front line? Do you believe that the goals of the Crimean Peninsula will be realized? What do you think about the inability of the Russian troops to advance on the Donetsk front line? Let me know in the comments. I read and I care about all your comments.